did.
I'm losing all my integrity. I've worked so hard in 2 years, and you've ruined it in 2 episodes.
Like, what did I just hear? What is up, football fans, but most importantly, UFL fans? Welcome to episode 2 of the revamped, restarted Polar Opposites. It's your boys, Ace and Webb. Today, we're talking about 3 topics that you guys picked. We're going to get into it, but first, hit it, Kenny. Last week, something that we wanted to start, we thought it would be really fun, was that we put out polls to, one, decide who won the last episode. And as you'll see, we have our records on the screen. Yes, I pushed for the records to still be on, even though I am losing, because apparently nobody likes Quentin Dormady, except some fans said me and Quentin Dormady's mom. So that's fine. I'm in good company. But we also decided that we were going to put polls out for what the topics were going to be for the next episode. So we put out 3 polls, 3 different categories of topics, and you guys voted. So today we're going to talk about most underrated player in the league, the best offense in the league, and which team or fan base has the best traditions. Now, not necessarily in that order. I think we're going to start, most underrated player, Webb? Is that what we're going to start with?
I think we're doing best team offense, but yeah.
We're doing best team offense. I have them way out of order on my notes, but yes, That is what we're doing. And as always, or I guess as much as last week, there you go. You can see on the screen, we have our Twitter polls. You go follow us on Twitter at Polar Ops UFM. It's a great time. We're posting them on Twitter. We're posting them on YouTube. You can vote on either. You can vote on both. Say you really wanted to see which was the best offense in the league because you're like, I take Ace and Webb's word as gospel, like they know what they're talking about, and you just really wanted to see it, you could vote on both. You could go get another account. You could vote again on both. It's all up to you. But make sure you're participating. Leave a comment. Leave recommendations for the next episode. We're always watching. We're always listening. Make sure you leave comments on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram if you follow us, all that cool stuff. Now, as always, we have Kenny in our ears. He's our producer, our newest member. If you are a Battlehawks fan, you should 100% be watching his show, the Battlehawk Blitz. And then we have our former producer, now host, my wonderful mother-in-law, KB, is here to make sure that Webb and I don't kill ourselves. KB, what are we talking about first?
First, I think we need a drink check. What you got there, Ace?
I am drinking an illustrious White Claw.
Oh, boy.
It's leftover from my wedding.
I was going to say you might take some heat for that.
Yes. No, not really. My wife does not really drink. She's very small and can only handle 1 margarita a night. And so we've had these for going on 2 months. And at some point, they need to leave our
plowing through the inventory.
He's a husband now, so he has learned that he needs to clean out the fridge.
That is right.
Husband job. Yeah.
All right. What you got, Webb?
Just like an awkward dairy-free pop.
Dairy-free
pop. So, yeah.
All right.
I don't like dairy in my soda. I'll tell you.
Right. I mean,
pop. It's pop.
It's pop. You're in Georgia. I don't think it's pop in Georgia.
It's Coke.
It hadn't been pop since I lived in Wisconsin.
Nice.
Coke and soda. But
all right, gentlemen, let's kick it off here. Let's talk about the best team offense.
Oh, hold on. Before we go here, just so everyone can follow along, we have the records down there. Yes, I'm 2-1. Yep. Ace is 1-2.
Great.
So I borrowed this from my son, but the champ is here. The champ, I'll be wearing this the whole time.
Oh, that's cold, but also super
go
dope.
Brady.
Also super dope. Brady has cool toys.
Brady loves his daddy.
Actually, I told him I'm borrowing it. I just told him right before we got on air, and he's like, "Are you going to share that with the people you are streaming with?" I was like, "Yeah." That's awesome. He's like, "That's awesome." I was
like, anybody can wear it except Ace. He's losing. All right. Well, Webb, what team are you bringing to the table with the best offense in the UFL?
There's a lot of offenses that are pretty good. I would say DC's pretty good. I would say St. Louis is pretty good, but the quarterback room is kind of a question mark. Then you have Birmingham, which quarterback room is kind of a question mark. And then you have Memphis. It's a brand new team. I can break it all the way down, but I'm going to go with Houston. And the reason why is because this week they signed the quarterback that would fit that offense. And I watched your show today, so like I'm kind of fresh with this.
So you're up to date. So you're like, I got all the insider info. That's crap.
But you include a quarterback that can throw the ball, and then you got Mark Thompson, Isaiah Henney. You know how much I love Henney Things Possible. Justin Hall, Kiki Chisholm, which is probably the best Key and Peele name in the league.
That's a fantastic name.
And then you have the law firm up front, Genesee, Buchanan, and Gilmore. I feel like this offense and a second year with Curtis Johnson and Eric Price for most of that team. And the guys that are coming in, I think we'll be able to pick it up real quick. I just think Houston, you talk about the defense all the time, and you're right about the defensive line. I just think your offense, Houston's offense, is so underrated. And I would love to hear your argument and counterpoint now. I'll wait. Crickets, because you can't. So it's kind of a.
It's not even that I can't. It's not even that I can't. Like I know where the Roughnecks are. You know, a little bit. I know this sucks. This sucks. This is my team, and you came at me with them, and that's unfair. You know I love them. So much stuff. Gosh, but okay. So no, I think you're right. I think they're a great offense. Do I think that they are going to come out and blow the doors off of people? No, I don't think so. I think it's going to take a second, and that's because the quarterbacks are new. You're going into season 3 of USFL rosters, and we're one of the only teams that has 0 returning USFL quarterbacks, and that's hard. That's really hard. We have Reed Sinnott, who holds the Miami Dolphins single game preseason passing yard record. We have the second best quarterback in Delaware history. We have Jarrett Garantano. That's all.
The first best quarterback is at Delaware? First best quarterback?
Who?
Joe Flacco.
I don't think he's actually the guy who holds the first record for passing yards.
But he's the greatest quarterback that ever came from Delaware.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the second best passing yards. I love the Houston offense. It's a little unproven as far as quarterback. They don't have Kenji back. They don't have Terry Wilson. They don't have Montel Cozart. They have 0 of the quarterbacks that were there last year, that were there the past 2 years. Kenji was there 2 years. He was the last remaining inaugural draft quarterback, like on the same team besides Jamar Smith. Now he's gone. So that is a hard thing to overcome. You have new quarterbacks coming into the system. Now, my offense that I picked, also, of course, I was going to pick Houston. I didn't do it because I didn't want to be a homer, man. Like, it's like if you pick DC, like, I'm not trying to do that. Now, let me look at my notes here for the team that I picked. I chose my brother's team because I wanted to be a little bit of a homer, and I chose the Panthers, not just because it's my brother's team. That's not the only reason, but because it's insanely stacked, especially after the dispersal draft. So the dispersal draft is interesting because I think each team kind of just stockpiled a position. And the positions that, or a position or two, I guess, but the positions that the Michigan Panthers stacked is 1, defensive back, because they grabbed a bunch of great defensive backs. But 2, they took basically every Stars wide receiver that was in the draft. Crazy. Why did they do that? Because there were 3 Stars wide receivers with over 300 yards. The Stars had the USFL season 2 single season passing yard, record holder in Corey Coleman. Well, let's see. The Michigan Panthers went out. They got Corey Coleman. They got Jordan Sewell. They got Devin Gray. So Corey Coleman, obviously the most yards in a single season by a USFL wide receiver. He had 669. 200 of those yards were yards after catch, which is just kind of impressive. The only other person on the team who beat him was Devin Gray, who is now also a Michigan Panther. He had 212 yards after catch. Corey Coleman had 4 touchdown passes. Devin Gray had 1. Then they go and they get Matt Colburn, another star, a great running back, especially season 1. He was an integral part in when Case Cookies came in. It was Case and Matt Colburn really were the reasons that they went to the championship. Now, Matt Coburn is an injury waiting to happen. You know, they got rid of Reggie Corbin, which all of us are still scratching our heads at, but you can say, okay, maybe it's because he was injury prone, you know, and don't say I don't love Reggie Corbin. I got a ball signed by him right here. There, right there. So I love Reggie, but you take one injury prone running back and you bring another, you're like, that doesn't make sense. And then you go, oh, wait, they also drafted Wes Hills, who is the number 2 leading touchdown rusher last season. He was neck and neck with Mark Thompson until he fell off. He got a little injured. 10 rushing touchdowns, 679 yards on the ground, which is more than Corey Coleman had in the air, and he holds the record for the most in the air. Then he had 10 rushing touchdowns, which I already said, but he also had 278 yards receiving. He's a dual threat. So Wes Hills, not very injury prone, wrecking ball, and you're like, okay, but what if he goes down? Then you don't have a run game. No, then you have Matt Coburn, who is fresh because he doesn't have to be an every down back the way he did on the Stars. Now I haven't even talked about the quarterback, EJ Perry. EJ Perry came in and was the most successful quarterback instantly that I've seen since Vad Lee. And Vad Lee immediately fell off. Vad Lee came in, won his first game, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, is he going to be the next big thing? And then, no, he immediately fell off, and I don't even think he finished the season starting for Maulers. EJ Perry. EJ Perry came in. His first game, he had 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 52.2 completion percentage. Pretty awful if you look at it. You're like, that's not great. At least he didn't turn the ball over. But you know what they did? They won that game off their defense. And you're like, well, I guess he was a game manager. But not only that, then he comes in the next game, which is the playoffs, and he just full 180. It's like all he needed was one full week of practice as the number 1 on that team. He comes in the playoffs. He has 370 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 60.5 completion percentage against the best defense possibly that we've seen in spring ball history in the Pittsburgh Maulers. EJ Perry is an absolute dog. He came into a stagnant and pretty prehistoric offense led by Eric Marty as an offensive coordinator. Sorry, Eric, you're a nice guy, but your offense was not good. EJ Perry came in, and what did he do? He wasn't afraid. He wasn't going to check down and do the things that the offense was created for. That was basically the reason that Josh Love and Carson Strong were failing. EJ Perry came in and said, no, I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to just whip the ball downfield to my guys who, you know, we're talking about most underrated player. One of them is Trey Quinn. I'll talk about him later. And then not a underrated, probably overrated, Joe Walker. He would just whip it downfield to those guys. So I think this offense is absolutely stacked. Their weakest parts were the offensive line. They went and they drafted a couple offensive line. They went and they picked up players from other teams, starting caliber players that were starting on other USFL teams. Then they get rid of their offensive coordinator. That's probably news. We've alluded to it before. I said it last week. We didn't talk about it. Eric Marty's gone. He's not the offensive coordinator. Mike Nolan said,
well, he tweeted today. Yeah.
Oh,
or
yesterday.
He tweeted yesterday about Josh Love being a free agent. I'm like, yes. You don't promote a player that you didn't re-sign. So yes. It's pretty safe to say that Marty's gone.
He's gone. So you get rid of the guy who's creating the offense that's stagnant. You get rid of the offensive line that was giving Josh Love and Carson Strong absolutely no time in the pocket. EJ Perry, he was just more mobile than the other two. So he was staying on the, like above the ground, not on the ground longer than the other two so that he could throw the ball downfield and just absolutely whip it. They got rid of the things that were bad. They got rid of the things that didn't work. And now they made the things that worked better and the things that didn't work better as well. So this is the offense that I think, will they lead the league in stats? I'm not sure. I'm not psychic, but I think they could. And I think they have a more proven quarterback than my Houston Roughnecks. Now, I think that the Roughnecks could be the best offense in the league 100%. I want them to. I'd love to be wrong on this, but I think that the Panthers have just a little bit of the edge.
Real quick, name the offense coordinator for the Michigan Panthers and what offense they're going to run and how it fits EJ Perry's skill set. Oh, you can't. Real quick. Name the returning starters from the offensive line that was probably the worst, gave up the most sacks in the USFL last year. It was terrible. Birmingham bringing back a bunch of offensive line. You guys are bringing back a bunch of offensive line. I know DC's bringing back a bunch of offensive line. If you can't bring back, I don't care. I don't care if you cannot protect the quarterback, you are not going to be successful. You can have all the talent. They had Reggie Corbett. They had Trey Quinn. They had Joe Walker. They had Stevie Scott, who's on the Brahmas now. They had a bunch of talent. They had Cole Hakatuni, right? They had all this talent.
Thank you.
Hakatini, whatever, Louisville, great. They had all these guys. They had all these guys, right? They had all these guys, all these weapons, but they could not protect the quarterback. And that will be the downfall. Yes, EJ Perry had a great half in the North Championship. He had a great half. I watched the game. I thought he was going to knock off the Maulers, right? And ruin my whole trip to Canton the following week. But if you talk to Jaron Horton says he had no film on him. Like, Brown is not equivalent to the USFL. It's just the fact, or the UFL. It's not. He had one game, and they changed the game plan. Michigan's only way to beat Pittsburgh was to make a dramatic change, and they took the risk. And EJ Perry had a little guts and a little testicular fortitude, and I'll give it to him. And he had a great second half. He had a terrible first half. If Tazzino's feet, like if they end drives in the first half, that game's over at halftime. But Pittsburgh didn't do that. EJ Perry had a great second half. He tore up Gibson and Gilbert and that great secondary. He definitely did. I'll give him the credit. But you can't tell me they're the best offense. You can't tell me that, because you can't even tell me what offense they're going to run. They have a bunch of weapons. They had them last year, whatever. There's Houston's there. Mark Thompson was an offense by himself. They were a middle of the pack offense last year with no weapon, no quarterback. Now you're telling me, and if you watch a Roughnecks rundown, right? You tell me how great Reed Sinnott is, man.
Really good.
So
really good.
And then I watch Henny every single week. Henny is awesome. Absolutely really awesome. Good. Justin Hall is basically another version of Henny, which Henny, then you got Chisholm and you got the offensive line. And I'm telling you, and Curtis Johnson, a second year in the system, Houston's better than Michigan. If you came with Memphis, I'd be like, okay, yeah, they're a bunch of breakers. They had a pretty good offense. You're right. But you came with an offense that you don't even know the offensive coordinator.
No, and I don't know the offensive coordinator.
Riddle me, Hickory Dickory Doc. Guess what? This is not your clock.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now that this is the clock, because yes, we don't know the offensive coordinator. We don't know if it fits EJ Perry's skills. But you know what didn't fit EJ Perry's skills? Eric Marty's offense. And he went and he was killing it and almost beat the best defense in the league. Yeah, they didn't have any tape on him, but nobody still really has any tape on him, especially because they don't know what offense they're going to run. He made it work in a stagnant, brutal, prehistoric offense. It can only get better. What are they going to come in and run the triple option? They're going to run the veer? They're going to be Marshall after the plane crash? No, they're going to come in and it's going to be better than Eric Marty. That was a brutal reference, but they're going to be better than Eric Marty. And they're going to come out and it's going to fit EJ Perry better. It just has to, because
you did this to me last week.
Well,
you did this to me last week. Name an offensive lineman on the Panthers. Right. You can't. And that's where it all starts in this league. If you have an offensive line, Stallions proved it, right? The defenders for most of the year proved it last year. You better Google it. If you have an offensive line, you can have an average quarterback. Right. So Houston has a way better offensive line.
Benji Kahar was an average quarterback, and he had possibly the best offensive line in the league. And we were still a decent, serviceable 5-5 offense, even when everybody realized all they had to do was key Mark Thompson, and we still were doing it. So, Eric Abouge. Oh, this is not helping. I don't know.
Every big game, the quarterback was hit. So does EJ Perry make it all 10 games? Who knows? Is he talented? Sure, but I can't rank them number one right now, and that's my argument.
I can, because they have the best wide receiver from the USFL last year. They have the second best running back from last year. They have the second best running back from season 1 of the USFL.
Wait a minute. You're saying Corey Coleman's the best wide receiver, like it's clear cut.
They were literally set a record. What are you talking about?
But I'm saying their offense was designed. It's like run and shoot. Of course, they're going to put up the most passing offense. Like they're running shoe, and then he had the best quarterback. Then he had the best quarterback. I just know Corey Coleman didn't have great games against Pittsburgh Maulers, so I'm just saying he'll get figured out. Don't worry about it. I know we go back to this Baylor stuff, and you love them Baylor boys.
I don't know anything about Baylor. I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing. KB,
Baylor. Come get your boy.
I think I was just gonna say. I think we gotta move on, gentlemen.
Oh, okay. So let's move on to the fun topic. KB, what's our fun topic?
Our fun topic is let's talk about the best fan tradition.
Yes. Now this one, easy. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Because I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say the beer snake. But you know what I give you? I'm gonna have to stand up for this. I'm gonna hate it, but I'm gonna do it. The shark dog. Yeah, it's the shark dog, buddy. Let me put my headphone in so I can hear you. Bro, I'm going to tell you, I like the beer snake. I get it. The league tried to shut down the beer snake, you know? Also, the beer snake is something that is strictly held within stadium bounds. Shark dog is quite literally, Kenny, can you pull that picture up for me? Literally being tattooed. He knew what I was talking about. Literally being tattooed on fans. It's leaving the stadium. It's become not just a tradition, but a culture. There is a shark dog culture, a shark dog mindset that people have taken, the Birmingham Stallions fans. And on top of that, the Birmingham Stallions fans also have those ridiculous rubber horse heads that they wear at the game. You can tell me that, you know, DC, St. Louis, the Brahmas, you know, they fill the stadium better. Sure. But they don't love their team more than the Birmingham Stallions fans love their team. I have not seen a picture of a Brahmas tattoo, of a DC Defenders tattoo, of a St. Louis Battlehawks tattoo, but I have actually, strangely enough, seen multiple shark dog tattoos, including one or two. There might be two now that are on Scooby Wright himself. Your move, sir.
That is the most hideous argument possible.
Not
because
even
of
true.
A tattoo. Because there's a tattoo.
There's multiple. I just couldn't find all the pictures. I've seen them.
The beer snake first came about in DC in 2020.
Yeah. And look what happened. It started a pandemic.
No, they kind of went away with it. And then 3 years later, it comes back. So obviously there's a longer history there.
And they tried to stop it. The league didn't even like it. They tried to stop it.
They tried to stop it, and they had to change the rules to try to stop it. But then they brought it back because they're so loved and adored by the XFL community and, well, spring football and the sports world community. If you look up beer snake, there's articles all over the Washington Post, all that, not just XFL stuff.
Look at that. They're throwing beer on innocent bystanders. They're promoting.
Well, they're throwing lemons.
I was going to say, I think those are lemons.
AB, no, don't. No.
There's lemons. Give me my beer snake.
Lemons and like.
No. That's not what they're doing. They're throwing. Look, the beer snake fell apart, just like your argument. No, they try to stop the beer snake. It's promoting excessive drinking. It only happens within the stadium.
I've got numbers for you. I know you love numbers. I know you love
away games. It does not happen at away games. Birmingham Stallions fans still show up. The Horsemen.
They had 10 home games season 1. Let's stop with that.
Season 2, I was at Memphis. They had 6 home games. Still Birmingham fans. It was crazy, even though it was wild. But the Horsemen show up. They still have their tailgate. They have people with their horse masks, and that tattoo is probably never leaving that dude's body.
That
and
beer
the
snake,
other two I've seen.
That beer snake costs $17,000 that the fans are dedicated to. You're talking about $100 tattoo. You're talking about $100 tattoo that some guy got at a corner shop.
That just speaks to how overpriced stadium beer is.
You're not wrong, Kelly.
But it's dedicated. They are dedicated and willing to spend that money. And of course, it's in DC, so it's a little higher price of living than Birmingham, Alabama.
I think the real problem we need to talk about, Webb, is the excessive price gouging that the DC Defenders are doing and proceeding with at Audi Field. That's awful.
Yeah, it's not just them. It's called capitalism.
I promise you that beer snake would not cost that much in Birmingham, Alabama. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but there's
DC
also
is
not that many
price
fans that
gouging.
show up. There's not nearly as many fans that can
What is
contribute
that guy
in
got on
Birmingham.
his head?
That is a Philly
Does he have a
cheesesteak.
taco?
Chili dog. Wow, Kenny, that was clutch. Coming in.
Well, it's a Philly.
Zooming
That's
in.
a
I think
Philly
it's a
jersey.
Philly
That's a cheesesteak. That's a cheesesteak. Oh, we got Kenny.
Oh.
Kenny came through in
Kenny's
with
in
the
our
cheesesteak.
ear. He let us know that is a cheesesteak.
They all dress
fact.
up. I don't know if I sent him the picture, but they dress up as defenders. They dressed up as Lemonheads. They dress up every single game. It is a atmosphere like none other. I know Kenny will probably be in our ear in a second and tell us how great St. Louis is, and yeah, they show up. But when you want to become a tradition, there's nothing better than Beer Snake, and you might as well. This belt ain't leaving my house, bro.
I want to talk about the Brahmas. I want to talk about the Brahmas traditions.
I also would like to talk about the Brahmas because I have a challenge for you, Webb. I have a wonderful challenge.
I've only seen the video once.
I don't know how you did not seen this. You didn't see this coming. I prepped you. I was like, oh, I put the Grito video in.
I only saw the video once. I know where it's going. I know where it's going.
To everybody wondering, no lemons. Get these lemons out of here. I won.
Look at even more cups than just the Beer Snakes. Yeah,
that's when the Beer Snake fell apart, just like your argument.
It's called job security.
That's not true. That is litter. That is littering. That's what that is. Tattoos and masks that they're taking home with them. That's not littering.
Before we go on to San Antonio, the Dan Snyder chants are absolutely great. And I can't repeat what they exactly say about Dan Snyder on YouTube because this is a family show.
We don't want to get pulled down.
The fact that the entire stadium chants that, and ESPN can't even really cover it, like bleep it out without silencing the whole stadium. It's a great atmosphere, and there's nothing better than DC. And I found out real quick. So
okay, I have two questions for you before we go into my competition. Number one, what's a defender?
Defender.
Oh, what is that? Give me a definition.
Webster's like
Ryan Webster's dictionary. What is a defender?
It's a person that defends. Like what do you mean?
Oh, and their helmet is made of lemon zest.
Shields, swords, defending anything.
That's what that is.
Military.
100%. Sure. That was a great definition. Number two.
Oh, sweet. Shark Dog. Oh, that's a pony related.
He quite literally describes it. There's also a TV show about it called Shark Dog. It's a cartoon. Your kids may have watched it.
So you're taking it. You're ripping it off someone else, not creating your own thing. I got you.
I'm going to be honest. I'm just amazed that you haven't ripped into Scooby right first or yet, but it's for another day. My second question.
He's not even starting on his team, so it doesn't make a difference.
My second question. If I were to say, there it is, Shark Dog, dude, super cute, actually, very cute show. When I was Googling it earlier, there were a lot of that. I almost got it just because, I almost downloaded a picture of it just because I was like, we should show that. It's cute. Thank you, Kenny. Kenny, thank you, sir. All right. These are just headphones. That does not work. But question number two, if I were to tell you right now that I'm going to fly you out to a game to go with me and we're not going to cover it at all, no media credentials, no nothing. We're just going to be in the stands and just rock for the home team. Allegiances aside, would you rather go to the Dome at America Center with 35,000 fans or Audi Field with, 12,000?
Yeah, something like that.
If they filled it, which one would you rather me fly you out to? No team bias. Which one?
Oh, DC. DC seems more fun, man. I don't care about the loud
What
noise.
are you talking about?
DC seems so much more fun, man.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Everyone, it's 100% people buy in. I understand they're loud. Yeah, I don't need headphones or earplugs, man. I don't want it to be annoying. I want it to be fun. And DC
annoying? It's a blast. Oh my gosh. There you go. Warm the throat up because now I have a challenge for you. So, for those who don't know, yes, St. Louis is pretty crazy. I almost chose them, but I think that the Birmingham Stallions fans are just a little more okay, so here's my reasoning for not choosing St. Louis so that people aren't like, no, he didn't choose St. Louis. St. Louis more bought into the Battlehawks because they felt spurned by the NFL that they moved their NFL team, right? They took away, the Rams, right?
Yeah.
They moved them out. It's been a while, man. I can't even remember. I almost wanted to say Chargers. They moved them out. They took away the Rams, and the city felt spurned. So they thought, we're going to prove them wrong, and we're going to buy into this next team in the XFL. Now, Birmingham didn't have a professional team, none of that. They became the hub. Their fans were just rabid and just thought that it was the coolest thing ever and genuinely loved spring football. There was no ulterior motive, no nothing. And I think it's just very pure. And I've seen Stallions fans in person firsthand, and it's honestly really cool. I talk a lot of trash about the Stallions, but I think that their fans are true believers, and it does not matter who you put in that jersey and put on the field. They are going to just ravenously cheer for them. Then you put someone who's a personality like Scooby, and it was a potion, like a mixture for disaster, whatever. It's more toxic than this White Claw or that dairy-free pop you got. But now we're going to move on to a tradition that we didn't bring up because it may not be the best, but it's something that I really enjoy, because if you go to a Brahmas game, this is something that was started by fans, and the team saw it and they inherited it. They said, we love that the fans have started this. We would like to bring this on. So this gentleman who dresses up in a Brahmas style mariachi, yeah, I'm from El Paso, I can roll my R's. He dresses up in a Brahma style mariachi outfit, and he created the grito. And this is just like a battle cry for the Brahmas. And I don't even know if we're going to be able to hear it, Webb, but everybody out there will be able to hear this video, I believe. And it's just a battle cry that he created. The Brahmas then invited him, and our man Dustin, who is the producer of San Antonio Brahma Bullpen, that's our guy Josh there. He hosts the show. His producer let us know that this gentleman in the mariachi outfit, they actually play his grito after every touchdown, and they just incorporated the fans in a way that I really think is cool. And when you see this grito, I am now challenging Webb to a grito challenge.
You're going to have to go first. I've only seen this like once or twice.
Better. Yeah. And we're going to have a fourth poll this week. So 3 topics, and then who had the best grito?
Hey.
This is the only way that you can get a tie because you're going to beat me in this.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Yes, please.
And so there's a thing known, excuse me if I say this wrong, a grito?
A grito.
A grito.
Grito.
All right. So we're going to challenge The Rock or anybody else who wants to get in on this. Send us a video.
I'm going to look it up because
Twitter,
Webb and I cannot hear this.
Find us on YouTube, San Antonio Brahma Bullpen. You got the grito worked up. Are you ready?
What do we say after that? That's what I like to hear.
Webb,
all right, so this is wild.
What'd you say, KB?
We're going to cut that out. All right, let me lubricate my throat for a second.
I've only heard it once, so you're going to have to do it first.
All right, so this gentleman here does the grito after every touchdown. And the grito is a 2-part thing. So you're going to do the cry, and then you're going to give a horns forward. Not a horns up, horns forward. I don't give horns up, I give horns down. I'm a Baylor boy. But I will give a horns forward because I enjoy the Brahmas and their fan base. Now, the grito goes... horns forward.
So, that is my turn.
What I tell you, I love you. I love you, Webb. I love you, Webb.
Webb, it is your turn to do the grito.
I need to hear.
All I know.
I was enjoying and watching for a second, so can you please do that again?
I do remember from the video, he said that it's very important that it comes from your core. Mm-hmm. It comes from your gut.
And I've been working out abs, Webb, because I wanted to make sure that my grito came from my core and it was strong. Here it goes. Ready?
This is going to be bad.
It's chant and the horns forward. Horns forward.
Man. I wish we knew. I wish we knew this is going to happen. because you're going to win this one. Just vote for Ace. But I will try it.
Oh.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
You didn't even get the horns forward.
Horns forward.
You did so good. Try it again.
Actually,
No.
that was actually much better.
No, that was really way better than I thought. Come on.
My voice gave out on me. I was like, I don't really go this loud.
All you had to do at the end instead of saying I'm done is go horns forward.
All right.
Come on, Webb. Come on.
Horns forward.
That was good.
Nice.
That was good.
I'm losing all my integrity. I've worked so hard in 2 years, and you've ruined it in 2 episodes.
Like, what did I just hear?
Yeah,
was there a lemon in there?
Hey, man, those Brahmas fans are loving you right now.
To be fair, the Brahmas had the worst record last year of any spring football team, and they're a great fan base. And so, they're kind of like, I'm a Vikings fan, but I always kind of root for the Lions because they've just been so bad. And that's kind of how I feel about the Brahmas as a Roughnecks fan, is that they're just like our little brother that we're like, it's okay, bud. You'll get it next time. That sounds awful.
Yeah, considering that
I like them.
Your Gambler Next only finished like a game better than them, but whatever.
Whoa.
Two games.
We're gonna move on.
They weren't 9-1 or anything, but
topic 3, and here's the topic I'm gonna blow you on.
All right. Our last segment for the evening is let's talk about the most underrated player in the league.
First of all, I want to thank the community for voting for underrated player, because overrated player I think could have been our topic number 1 and probably the most intense conversation.
But like, not only would it have been intense between us, but I think that we may have gotten canceled by the spring football community. So
there are a couple fan bases that would isolate us.
Not stop with political things. It also moves on with spring football, and I would like to keep on the good graces of the spring football community. And so underrated, much better. We are highlighting players. And Webb, I'm going to let you go because your player is not just underrated, but unheard of. So I'm going to let you go.
Okay, well, we both kind of chose 2. And after looking at the list, we know each other's players because we wanted to be prepped for this debate. First of all, I want to be honest. I root for all 4 of these players. I think they're all quality players. So I just want to start there. But my pick is the Brahmas. We're going to go back to the Grito fan base, but and I'm not going to do that again. Josh, I hope you enjoyed that, and you can mention it on Brahmas bullpen. But
I think I'm short of it.
Prince Amili. First of all, the Amili is just a great last name, right? With Lil Wayne's song Amili. I just love it. Right.
Should be sponsored by Lil Wayne.
Yeah. So I love defensive tackles. Absolutely love them. You know this. It's probably the most important position on the football field for me on the defense, and I love defense. This kid's out of Penn, very bright. He's an immigrant, right? Immigrant parents. In 10th grade, he signed up for football, he told his parents, and his parents thought it was soccer. They came out to watch him, and they saw the hitting, and they took him right off the team, right? And they're educated doctors. They had no idea that it was American football, and they had no idea what American football was. So it's a great story. His sister, they were traveling, and it was a 6-hour road trip, and his older sister came to his defense and convinced his parents that, hey, guess what? He really wants to play, and gave him another shot. And that was his sophomore year in high school. So he's only really been playing for about 7 years, not like a lot of the American kids that have been playing since they're 6 years old. He's only been playing for 7 years. But he went to Penn and kind of dominated 162 tackles in 3 years out of a defensive tackle position, 11.5 sacks. They only played 10 games. Obviously, he's educated, right? He plans to be a doctor after his career.
Wow.
He was with the Saints. He has an active NFL game with the Buffalo Bills where he had 3 tackles. He's 6'2", 310. He's a guy not a lot of people are talking about, but in the middle of that Wade Phillips defense, he actually might be prevalent in this league. So this is definitely one of the.
Real quick, just look at that smile. That's a fun dude.
Yeah, and then all his coaches' compliments are the hardest working guy and the most studious guy. So Prince Emili, you didn't even know about him, so I just shared his story with the world. But this is definitely one of the most underrated player in the league, in my opinion.
So it's kind of like the third topic we had last week, where we're not really fighting about it. This is more one that it's something we can agree on, but we just have a different top, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never going to put down Prince Emili. I think that's a fantastic story. The fact that, well, first of all, I want to say that I'm glad that he chose American football over European football, because you don't see a lot of 310-pound people playing football. So, so I'm glad that he chose American football. It's a great sport and he fits it perfectly and he looks like he's having fun, which is the point, right? It's a children's game that you can go and it is what you make of it. And I think he's doing a great job. The fact that he wants to be a doctor afterwards is wildly impressive, especially taking all those hits to the head to remember what the medulla oblongata is crazy. So that's wildly impressive. Now, my guy is a guy that is more known, but just does not get the recognition that I believe he deserves for multiple reasons. But my guy is Chris Rowland of the Philadelphia Stars and now on your DC Defenders. Now, Chris Rowland, he is a guy that not just I like, my brother likes, my dad likes, and we resonate. The Nargang family resonates towards players who just come across as very hardworking and do not take what they have for granted. And Chris Rowland is that guy. He's a guy who pushes to be on this team. He plays hard every single play. Not only that, he's wildly talented. The guy is a great wide receiver. He probably gets knocked because he gets hurt, but that's only because he's going so hard every play and he's a smaller guy on the field. Now, the thing that I really like is that people don't recognize him because he's a wide receiver and he doesn't have that many stats, but what he does doesn't really show up on the stat sheet. Chris Rowland plays on every special team. For the past 2 years for the Philadelphia Stars, he's been on every single special team. Season 1, he had some stats. He had some great catches, and then he got hurt, and fans kind of forgot about him because then Case Cookus came in, and he didn't play as much after that because of injury. Season 2, he didn't get injured as much, but he played on every single special team. He's a guy who works really hard. When the ball does come his way, he's going to catch it more times than not. This catch right here is bonkers. This catch I saw live, and I didn't believe it. I didn't think he was inbounds, and I had to see it again. He just has amazing body control, a great work ethic, fantastic hands, and he does not say no to coach. When coach says, I need you to go in on kickoff, I need you to go in on punt, Chris says yes. And I love that in a player because growing up, that's what my dad told me because I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy. And he said, if you want to get in, I love that. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. I did not have this photo. Kenny found that for me. Chris is a good dude. And growing up, my dad said, if you want to get in, you got to show the coach you want it. You follow him on the sideline, you're on his hip. And anytime somebody, doesn't show up fast enough and they need somebody or somebody gets hurt, you be the guy there saying, I got it, coach. And I think Chris is that guy. And people don't recognize him because the stat sheet isn't that flashy. But I think he is an integral part of a team. And I'm jealous that he was drafted in the super draft by the DC Defenders. I pointed it out on our live stream. But I don't think it got the recognition on social media it deserved. Chris Rowland is a big pickup for you guys, especially because in this league, it can come down to a play. It really can. I've watched it with the Gamblers. The Gamblers have lost more one-score games than any other team in spring football. And special teams matter. Special teams 100% matter, and this is a guy who's going to give his all and makes plays on special team. He catches the ball, he tackles the ball, and he's going to block for the ball. He's got it all, and I think people need to give him the recognition.
And what's great for him is that he goes to an offense that just lost Lucky Jackson and Blair to the NFL. So there's actually opportunity for Chris Rowland even though he lost his job in Philadelphia. I love Chris Rowland. He also came up with the USFL 50, which we'll be doing a UFL 50 this year. So
I'm excited for that.
I can't disagree with that.
Pushes me creatively. But yes, Chris Rowland. After season 1, the NFL Top 100 was coming out, and Chris said, I think that there should be something like this for the USFL. And you reached out to him. You said, hey, we're thinking of doing one, probably only 50 players because this league only has 8 teams. And he submitted, I believe, the first ballot, right? One of the first ballots.
One of the first, yeah.
One of the first ballots. Chris Rowland came up with the USFL 50, and that's been one of my favorite things in the offseason. I think it's great. It pushes the conversation. It gets the players involved and kind of excited for the next season. All around, I just think Chris Rowland is a great player, a great guy, and a great teammate. He's someone you want in your locker room. I think he's entirely underrated, and I think in that dispersal draft, when the Michigan Panthers picked up basically the entire Philadelphia Stars wide receiver core in the divisional dispersal draft, Chris Rowland should have been the number 2 receiver after Corey Coleman. I think he should have been. They decided they were going to take Devin Gray, Jordan Sewell, fantastic guys. But if you wanted somebody who's going to come in, affect your locker room immediately in a positive way, and is going to play on every special teams and give his all every practice, I think Chris Rowland's the guy.
Gotcha. Well, my second guy is CJ Maribel from Birmingham Stallions because I think he's completely underrated.
Webb, I got to say, we're giving a lot of love to the ponies this episode, and it feels wrong. Does it feel weird to you?
Well, I'm on the other side of it now, so it doesn't make a difference. I'm on the dark side. But 524 rushing yards last year, over 4 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, another 28 catches. That came after a season where he had 400 rushing yards, kick returning, 20 catches. He's consistent. And you know, the thing is, no one talks about him. No one talks about him. When we talked best running backs in the USFL this past year, we talked Wes Hills, we talked Mark Thompson, right? We talked Reggie Corbin at points. No one talked about CJ Maribel, and actually, I really think he's the cog in that wheel in Birmingham that keeps it going, and that's the reason why they could be preseason ranked number 1 because they have guys like CJ Maribel who just come to play. He got an opportunity with Belichick's Patriots this offseason. Unfortunately, he didn't get into a game before he was cut. Had a great career at Coastal Carolina. I just think he was drafted in the first draft, so he's been there for 2 years. I just think he is the most underrated player from the USFL side. I try to grab one on each side, and CJ Maribel was definitely the guy that it was instant for me to pick. Prince Emili, I had to go searching a little bit for because I wanted a defensive guy, but CJ Maribel was instant for me, almost kind of like Chris Rowland was for you. So.
Yeah, and to add on to CJ Maribel, they have Bo Scarborough, who is an Alabama legend, and people want to talk about it. Bo Scarborough really hasn't produced that much. That's a great photo. The better photo is the one where he's like in the end zone on his head. It's a great photo. But CJ Maribel, not only has he been a consistent player, he hasn't really gotten hurt. He's quietly the best player on their offense. Deion Kane, Alex Magoo, Bo Scarborough, Jamar Smith. These are just really big names. One, because the hub was in Alabama first year, so people really gravitate towards their players. Secondly, because they've won 2 championships. And so people are going to talk about their players. CJ Maribel was just the consistent person that they had. He was going to get you the first downs, on the long drives. He was going to be there for the checkdowns from Alex Magoo when he was scrambling and nobody got open. He's that guy that they needed. And going into season 1, you said they picked him up in the initial draft. They picked him up. They had him, Tony Brooks James, and another guy. I can't remember his name. All 3 of them were almost the same kind of running back. They were all smaller guys, very fast, very elusive. Change of direction is high, and they could catch the ball in the backfield. The other ones phased out. CJ Maribel stayed, and that was because he was consistent. He produced. He didn't get hurt, and he bought into Skip Holt's system. CJ Maribel is a great guy to have on this list. I agree. For a guy who won 2 championships, people don't talk about him enough.
And if you watch Stallions run, they actually discussed their running back room this week, and Maribel was the one lock, right? They got 4 running backs, and they both agreed, Scout and Buck, that Maribel was the one lock, and that includes Bo Scarborough. And you know that Buck loves Alabama guys, and he said he's on the chopping block, but CJ Maribel, there's no doubt that he's going to be back. So the Stallion fans recognize it, and it just needs the whole league to recognize that CJ Maribel is one of the best backs. So.
Well, think about this. They did not protect Zaquandre White. They did not protect Bo Scarborough. They ended up pulling them back in the dispersal drafts. Yep. They never let go of CJ Maribel, and they know that. They did not want to lose him. They said, we will let, they have their T-bone package, which the big guys are important, but they let Bobby Holly go, they let Zaquandre White go, and they let Bo Scarborough go. But the one piece of that T-bone package they would not let go was CJ Marable. And that's because he was the most valuable part. And I agree with you. Now, to move on to my second guy, this is a guy that started getting a little recognition. The NFL recognized it, but the fans still don't. And that I just don't understand. Maybe it's because he's small. Maybe because he's a small little white receiver. Who knows? Trey Quinn. Trey Quinn was the most consistent, the most reliable, and honestly, probably the most exciting player on the Panthers offense last season, other than EJ Perry. And EJ Perry only played in 2 games. Now, Callan Maverick, our Panthers representative, he doesn't do a show, but he's on Twitter and he does a lot of our shorts. He was talking to me today because I was telling him, hey, I'm trying to, research what I'm going to go up against Webb in tonight on Polar Opposites. I said, I think for my underrated player, I'm going to talk about Trey Quinn. And he said, dude, you're right. Oh, look at that. He threw a pass to Joe Walker there. Has anybody seen Friday Lights? And he can pass. Love it. So I think that he was just a great receiver. Now, I play fantasy football in UFL or USFL and XFL. It's really hard. I played against the guys who literally run the site. I played against Mark Perry. I played against Mike Mitchell. I played against these guys who really follow these leagues. And a guy that I drafted because I thought he was going to be great was Joe Walker. Who I should have drafted was Trey Quinn. Joe Walker had the most passing or receiving yards on the Panthers. He got those in about 2 games. Honestly, he had 2 big games.
Not against Pittsburgh. He's in Gilbert's pocket.
Not against Pittsburgh.
Continue.
But Trey Quinn consistently put up numbers. He had, let me look real quick. He had 37 receptions, 438 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I don't think he had 2 touchdowns in a single game. So he had 4 different games where he put up a touchdown. He had 37 receptions. He had more receptions than Joe Walker. Joe Walker had a lot of yards, but it was only in 2 games. Trey Walker, if I had him in fantasy, he'd have been a great asset because every single week he was putting up numbers quietly. People weren't paying that much attention to him until he did the Napoleon Dynamite dance. And then they posted him on social media and people kind of talked about him a little bit. But let's talk about this. Joe Walker, Whop Phillier, AJ Richardson, the other receivers on that team, they didn't get NFL looks. The only player that got NFL looks and actually was not available to even come back to the UFL, until recently was Trey Quinn because the NFL realized that. They said, this guy is consistent. He runs great routes and he's going to catch that ball. I think he's possibly the best receiver they have. They picked up Corey Coleman. They picked up Jordan Sewell. They picked up Devin Gray. They have Wes Hills, Matt Coburn, EJ Perry. I think the best part of that offense is Trey Quinn. I think he is going to be the reason that they are the number 1 offense this season because he is going to be consistent. He's going to catch the ball. I like the guy. I think he's underrated.
Talented. Fun fact, he was one of the Mr. Irrelevance in the NFL draft. So
yes. My gosh.
So he was, yeah.
He was drafted coming out of college. I literally, when I was taking the highlight reel that we just showed, they said that, and I meant to write it down in my show notes, and I didn't. You keep saying show notes don't matter. They matter, Webb. I was going to write it down. Yes, he was Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft. Again, a guy who literally was called irrelevant. He's so underrated. He's the guy you want. He's the Hunter Renfrow of the UFL. Not just because he's white. He plays on that side of the Rashard Mendenhall Bowl, just so you know.
So out of these 4 guys, rank them 1 through 4. I guess we can argue, yeah, out of the 4 guys.
Well, it's going to help you because I think number 1 is Chris Rowland. Number 2 is going to be Prince Emili. Number 3 is going to be CJ Marable. And number 4 is going to be Trey Quinn.
That's the most underrated player to the most rated player?
The most underrated to the highest rated player of the 4 that we gave. I'm going to say it's Chris Rowland, Prince Emili. And Prince Emili is because he's underrated because people don't know him, right? Yep. If he had been in the league last year, I would say so. But people don't know him yet. And in the spring leagues, that's not unheard of. So I'm going to say Chris Rowland, Prince Emili, CJ Marable, Trey Quinn. Because Trey Quinn did get some stuff.
I got Rollin, Amelie, Quinn, Maribel. I think Maribel is the highest rated player out of this group.
He's won 2 championships.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
wow, we were pretty close on that. See, we don't always disagree on stuff. We don't always disagree.
You just got to wait until you're 45 minutes into the show. Whatever.
54 minutes into the show. You just got to hear the grito a couple times. There you go. Yeah. Oh, Webb, we and you were on the same page. All right. My wonderful mother-in-law, KB, we always end the show with a KB's blindside where, yes, Webb pointed it out earlier. We know what we're going to talk about for most of the show. But when we get to the end, we get to KB's blindside and we have no idea what she's about to ask us.
Before we go to KB, I just got a text from my wife who's in the other room. The kids are, she said that the kids are trying to sleep and can you stop gritoing? So hit that music. All right, go ahead, KB.
All right, gentlemen. One thing that I have noticed in the community, there's a lot of discussion about this recently. So, and also the captain, Brandon, helped me with this as well. But there's a lot of people are really worried about the lack of information about things like schedules, uniforms, merch, roster pages that aren't being updated as moves happen. And we're only 2 months away from kickoff, 1 month away from players reporting to camp. And should fans be worried?
Ace, you want me? Oh, okay. So last year, the Maulers changed their colors from orange and purple to yellow and black, and they did not get their jersey until camp. Legitimately, Matt Mangle and Nathan Hurley-High were the first players to see it, and they walked into the locker room, and that was the first time anyone's ever seen it. Jerseys don't matter to maybe to the fans, but in my opinion, I don't think they matter. The schedule, I'm starting to get a little worried about that, or at least the home dates. Maybe not the who they're playing on each home date, but at least know when you might have to make a trip to DC or Houston, right? If you're a little bit further away and you can plan it out. So that would be my only. I don't really care. Slow walk it to death. It doesn't make a difference to me. As long as we have football on March 30th and we have camp to talk about in a month, I'm perfectly fine. But I'm always that guy, so I'm probably not the great for the swamp and the community. I'm probably not the perfect example of to ask this question. Go ahead, Ace.
Oh man, so I have a little bit different of an angle for this question. So no, I don't think we should be worried. I don't even think that they don't have these things figured out. I think the league knows exactly what's happening. What they're doing is they are waiting because, one, they know that they're not drumming up that much, I don't know, excitement, hype for the league. I know that's a dirty word, but they're not drumming up the excitement for the league as much until they hit training camp. And once they hit training camp, then they're going to start releasing these things. They're not releasing them now because listen, you don't start a fire the afternoon that you're going to need it that night, right? You start the fire that night. So they're waiting because right now it's cold, but it's going to be cold. They're waiting for the night to come, training camp, because then they're going to start releasing this information. When jerseys come out, I promise you, UFL is going to trend on Twitter. When the schedule comes out, UFL is going to trend on Twitter. They want those to be as close to the season as possible because they want all of the hype to be right before the season starts, because that is going to drum up the viewership. And that's what really matters in these leagues, right? They want people to be watching TV. They want the viewership. They need the advertising money. And so right now, no, they don't care about us right now, because right now, who's paying attention? It's us. It's the guys who have been paying attention 365 days a year. They care about the people who are going to start paying attention once players show up to camp, once they start getting videos of players getting interceptions in camp, throwing touchdowns in camp, all that stuff. They're waiting for those fans to start paying attention, and then they're going to roll out the things that matter, like the schedule, the jerseys, where teams are practicing 100%, all these things.
I will say, I think the schedule is going to come out before the Super Bowl because they need that Super Bowl audience. And the Super Bowl being 2 weeks, like you have a slow week after this AFC and NFC championship of football news. It's kind of a perfect week. People are football hungry. And the Pro Bowl, who really pays attention to that? But
even less now that it's a flag football and dodgeball game.
Yeah, so like I think you might see the schedule this week just because it's a week to put it out there, but just keep promoting it. And then the jerseys will come after the Super Bowl, and I think building an excitement closer. But I think the schedule is the one thing that has to come out pretty soon because people do have to start planning their weekends. Because you're talking the first weekend, I think, is Easter weekend, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to drum up all that excitement. You got to get the schedule out. Other than that, I don't care about jerseys, a jersey provider, merch, all that kind of stuff. It's a football league. It's a spring football league. I just want to make the year 2 and year 3 and year 4. I know we talked about this over all of our shows, and that's really what I'm looking forward to. So as long as they have a plan and they're successful at executing the plan, I'm good with it.
I agree. We might see the schedule. I think we definitely don't see jerseys until training camp. I think there's going to be a lot more things. There's also going to be there's going to be a lot of cuts and a lot of signings during training camp, a lot of exciting stuff happening. They're going to announce giveaways for the games. They're going to announce cool things for the games, special box seats, all that stuff. There's a lot coming that they have planned out. It's ready. They just are not going to do it now because it's not going to get as much traction as they need it to because they need these leagues to survive. We need these leagues to survive. If the UFL goes under, Webb, what do we do? What do we do? I don't know. I'm just going to watch Real Housewives with my wife every night. That's awesome, I guess. But not this. I don't get to come drink crappy White Claws and talk to you, So we need these leagues to survive. And I understand the strategy. I get the strategy. And I'm not against it. It's fine. I'll wait. That's cool. I just hope they take the white off the shoulder pads of the home jerseys for the Roughnecks because two-tone jerseys are disgusting. There you go.
I just hope they keep the DC Defenders jersey exactly how it is because it's
perfect. I love that jersey. Yeah. That's a good jersey. Yeah. DC Defenders, the Brahmas, the Battlehawks, fantastic jerseys. I love those jerseys. The Renegades, we could tweak a little bit, just a little bit. I like the Renegades. I like the colors. I like them better than the 2020 Renegades. 2020 Renegades jerseys looked awful. I like the 2023 Renegades jerseys. I love the Brahmas. They're my favorite. Then I love the Battlehawks, then the Defenders. I think they're good jerseys. Whatever. I think that the USFL teams could use a revamp, but that's whatever. All right. So,
except
Webb,
the Panthers.
Right,
except the Panthers.
Webb, we have reached the end of the show. Everybody, make sure you go vote on Twitter and YouTube on the polls that we're going to put up. We're going to put up the polls for who won the arguments for this episode. And then we are going to put up the polls for what do you want us to discuss next week on the show. And you're in the driver's seat. You get to decide. We're going to come up with a couple choices and you tell us which one. Man, you might pick our least favorite choice, but we're going to do it. You know why? Because we care about y'all. We care about you as a fan. There you go.
And a side note, our giveaway, the Turpin jersey, Texas Pete. And by next week, we'll have a photo of him with the jersey. He did receive it. He said he's going to send me a picture this weekend or Ace a picture this weekend.
Love that.
And we will put on the show. So
very excited. I drove into the rain, went to the post office in the smallest town in Texas, and I sent that out, and it got there in 2 days. Fantastic. Love the Postal Service. Great job. Texas Pete. So happy that you have that jersey. It was in my I hate you, Webb. It was in my closet for months. Now you have it. Webb, you're gonna have to get some postage because next week I think that I'm gonna have to
ship it.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Fun fact, my wife puts that on her dinner every night.
She does not.
Yes, she does. Texas Pete hot sauce. She puts it on her rice and chicken because that's what we eat every night because we're healthy, I guess. So she puts Texas Pete. No joke.
Well. All right, gentlemen.
Champ is here.
All right.
Make sure you're gonna send that over here next week.
Let's get up.
Let's go.
Nice.